Hi, World History. This is Miss Corey. Welcome to U4-L6 Christianity and the Roman Empire. All right, learning standards. Analyze the emergence, development, and impact of multiple religions and philosophies from at least 3 different regions, including, but not limited to, shamanism, animism, Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, indigenous religion traditions in Africa and the Americas, and the African diasporic religions. Describe and analyze examples of how religions develop and change over time in response to differing social, historical, and political context, including but not limited to shamanism, animism, Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, indigenous religious traditions in Africa and the Americas, and the African diasporic religions. Oh, that's a lot. Don't worry about it. We are not going to go through all those today. Today, we are going to focus on the historical aspects of Christianity. Your job is you're going to watch this ed puzzle and answer the questions. Questions in blue text are going to be questions that I want you to answer directly on the ed puzzle. And of course, if you have questions, please let us know. That's why we're here. We're here to help you. All right, you're like, wait, Miss Corey. I didn't think you could teach about religion in public schools. Yes, very good point. Is actually part of the standards I need to hit for the state of Minnesota. And also, religion and history are incredibly intermixed. So if you pick out all the religion from history, it really isn't history anymore. They're so incredibly intertwined. All right, so I like to look at religion like a diamond or a gem. So, right, let's say we had a big diamond in our hands, and every way that you turn it, it's going to look a little bit different. The light's going to shine differently, the cut might be a little bit different, the colors are going to be different. So, it's kind of the same thing with religion. So, everybody has their own unique perspective of religion, and there is an infinitive amount of ways to look at religions as well. So, person A is definitely going to have a different viewpoint than person E, and so on and so forth with all of these other people. Today, we are just going to go with the historical perspective of religion. What I'm not going to do, I am not going to change your perspective of your religion. What you choose to believe is your choice. I'm just giving you the historical aspects. All right, let's get started. So, from the U4-L5 video about Christianity, tell me at least 2 aspects of Christianity. All right, so the video covered a lot of things. So we learned that Christianity is monotheistic, meaning they believe in one God. It started about 33 CE after the Messiah Jesus died. Jesus was a Jewish carpenter. The Roman Empire put Jesus to death after he was seen as a religious rebel. So remember, again, the people in the Roman Empire had to follow the imperial cult, aka their religion had to be the Roman gods. Christianity went against that. Followers or disciples spread the word and teachings of Jesus. And today, Christian sacred text is the Bible with the Old and the New Testament. So here's kind of a flow chart between Judaism and Christianity. So from Judaism came Christianity. So we talked about Judaism before. That started about 2000 BCE, depending on what historian you want to ask. It is also monotheistic. The important messenger is Abraham. He is considered the first Jew. They also have holy text, which is the Hebrew Bible, which includes the Torah. And the Christian Old Testament and the Hebrew Bible have a majority of the same text. They're extremely similar. And then from Judaism came Christianity, which started about 33 CE at Jesus' death. The main messenger and Messiah is Jesus, who was Jewish. And they believe in other prophets as well. So those are people who spread the word of God, including Abraham. And the holy text is the Bible, which includes the Old and the New Testaments. So both of these religions are considered Abrahamic religions. And when we get, I think in 2 units from now, we'll even add on more to this flowchart. So what do we know about early Christianity besides what's in the Bible? So there's approximately 10 non-religious sources that mention Jesus. There are a few that are disputed by historians, hence the kind of about 10. There are 2 major sources that we're going to look at today. The first one is from Flavius Josephus, and the second one is from Roman Senator Tacitus. All right, so Flavius Josephus, this is this dude right here. So he was a Roman Jewish historian. So he lived from 37 to 100 CE. So he was born 4 years after Jesus died. And he wrote briefly about Jesus' popularity, his death, resurrection, and Christian followers. This is what he wrote. He said, "About this time there lived Jesus, a wise man, if indeed one ought to call him a man, for he is one who performed surprising deeds and was a teacher of such people as accepted the truth gladly. He won over many Jews and many of the Greeks. He was the Christ, and when upon the accusation of the principal men among us, Pilate had condemned him to a cross, those who had first come to love him did not cease. He appeared to them, spending a third day restored to life. For the prophets of God had foretold these things and 1,000 other marvels about him, and the tribe of Christians, so called after him, has still to this day not disappeared." So that's what he wrote. Then we have Senator Tacitus. So Senator Tacitus is this dude right here. He was a Roman senator from 56 to 120 CE, so again, after Jesus' death. And he wrote a lot of history about the Great Fire of Rome, which happened in 64. So this Great Fire of Rome lasted 9 days. 10 out of the 14 districts of Rome were destroyed because of this fire. During the fire, the emperor in charge was Nero. That's that guy here. He's very notorious for being kind of crazy. And he was rumored to have set fire to Rome, which no historians actually know if that's true or not. So Tacitus explains that Nero was mad about the fire, and he actually blamed the Christians for the fire. Nero did, that is, not Tacitus. In Tacitus's explanations, he mentions Christ, which means Jesus, was put to death by Pontius Pilate, and that Pontius Pilate was the governor of the region of Judea from 26 to 36 CE. So Judea is right here. So like modern day Jerusalem, by the way, it's like right there. So Judea is part of that. Pontius Pilate also served under Emperor Tiberius, and Pontius Pilate was the one that gave Jesus the death penalty. All right, so this is what Senator Tacitus said. He said, "Consequently, to get rid of the report, Nero fastened the guilt and inflicted the most exquisite tortures on a class hated for their abominations, called Christians by the populace. Christus, from whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hand of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate." All right, so next let's talk about Roman life and early Christians. So Christianity first spread in Jerusalem area after Jesus' death, which again was about 33 CE. Both Gentiles, who are people who aren't Jews, and Jews could become Christians. So there was like no like predetermining of who can be a Christian or not. Pretty much anyone could. And then Jesus' disciples spread his teachings around the Mediterranean, Northern Africa, and Western Asia. Paul, who's a representation of him right here, was one of Jesus' apostles. He was actually the chief disciple and is famous for traveling very great distances. So here's a map of all the places that Paul traveled. Remember, there's no cars, trains, nothing at this time. A lot of this was done by either boat or simply just walking. That's pretty crazy to think about that. So again, here's Jerusalem down here. And he went all the way up here into what is modern day Turkey, parts of Greece, and even into Rome itself. All right, so Jewish leaders were very mad at the disciples during early Christianities because the Jewish leaders didn't accept these new teachings from Jesus. Jewish leaders also would ban disciples from Jewish communities. Those disciples then had to travel and spread word elsewhere, and Christianity became even more widespread because of that. So early Christians were typically middle to lower class people. They were artisans, workers, even enslaved peoples. And women were very vital to early Christianity. So women could own property and houses in the Roman Empire. So lower and middle class women were typically not housebound, meaning that they could go out to the public markets. They could get, water from the wells, stuff like that. So they would go out to the town and then they would kind of spread the word of Christianity to all the people who were in like the market square, for example. Worship did have to be held in secret with early Christians. So the Roman Empire hated the new Christian religion. Women would often offer their houses as a place of worship. And women who chose not to marry, which was a huge negative in Roman culture, by the way, could seek leadership roles in maintaining Christianity and their meanings. So it is important to note, though, although women had a huge role in early Christianity, there are some things they could not do. So women could not hand copy Christianity's holy text. That was believed to be a man's job. Even though the majority of middle class women could read and write, it was still had to be done by men. Women could not participate in leading worship, and women were not allowed to travel far without being accompanied. So if they wanted to go to like the next city over, they would have to be accompanied by a man. So that means they can't preach Christianity to other towns and cities without having a man with them, which was the Roman norm at that time. All right, next, let's look at some early kind of artifacts and places of early Christianity. So, this house right here looks like a typical old Roman Empire stucco house, but dun dun dun, it's actually a chapel underneath. So, this is Saint Ananias' house, which was a Syrian house built before Jesus' death. But then this underground church was built in about the 400 CE. You can see here, I mean, it's pretty small. All right, next are some pics of Christian catacombs in Domitia, Rome. They were built between 100 and 300 CE. It's about 17 miles long, and it still has the bones of the bodies who were buried there back in 100 to 300 CE. And you're probably like, catacombs. I've kind of heard that word before. What is a catacomb? So, a catacomb is a man made underground long passageways, like there are a bunch of hallways, made to bury the dead and decorated with religious pictures and symbols. So this is what it looks like in a catacomb. As you can see, it's just a big hallway, and then all these slots here is where you would put the dead bodies. So in these catacombs in Italy, you will see a bunch of kind of pictures, stucco pictures. For example, this is supposed to represent Jesus's Last Supper, with Jesus being right here in the middle. We also have the hypogeum, which is a chamber in a catacomb. This is of the family of Flavi. As you can see here, it is decorated with religious symbols, such as some angels over here. I mean, it looks like it's like, old and falling apart, but it's pretty incredible that these stayed in this shape for what? Just about, 1900 years? That's pretty insane. Here's another picture of what the inside of the catacomb would look like. So this one is depicting Jesus and the 12 apostles, which Jesus being right here in the middle. Again, it's kind of hard to see, but you also have to understand that it's like 1,900 years old. Here's also a scene of the martyr of Petronella. So a martyr is someone who is killed due to their faith, by the way. So you can see this one's kind of breaking apart a little bit. You can still see there's some inscriptions. I don't know Latin, but you can still see their faces and stuff too. All right, let's wrap this up for today. So, we learned that everyone has their own perspective of religion. Christianity and Judaism are Abrahamic religions. Christianity's holy text is the Bible. Christianity believes in Jesus as the Messiah. Jesus was put to death for going against Rome's national religion. And we looked at two non-biblical sources of Jesus that came from Flavius Josephus and Roman Senator Tacitus. Early Christianity was popular among lower and middle class, includes both men and women. Early Christianity was spread by disciples traveling around the Mediterranean. Men and women were not seen as equals in the early church, and we took a look at some early church and catacombs. Next up, you are going to watch U4-L7 and U4-L8, which are the Colosseum Gladiator episodes. So Colosseum was this like documentary that the History Channel put out, but I hate saying documentary because it is so cool. Like they have reenactments and it's great. They had a good budget for this. So I will be grading you on what questions you get right or wrong for this, by the way. And while you're watching it, you might see like scenes are kind of like chopped for like a second, like they miss a couple of seconds and you're like, what the heck is going on with this video? It is not a glitchy video. So in the reenactments, sometimes it gets a little bloody, not gonna lie. So I just cut out the bloody scenes so I could show it to you without having to get like parent and guardian permission. So if that's why you're like, why did it just skip over that? I just skipped a couple of seconds so it wasn't so gruesome. And then U4-L9 Ancient Rome video choice. If you have questions or if you want to learn more, please let us know. That is why we are here. We are here to help you. Thanks for watching. Bye.